All right, let's talk about Paris Johnson Jr., the current right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. He was drafted with their 6th overall selection in the most recent draft. Let's talk about how he did in this game. PFF graded him as a very average performance. They actually had it kind of right at what your league average performance would be. So, okay, let's see what happened. What were the good and what were the bad plays that he had in this one? Well, let's start off with a good. Let's start off with this play. So he's going to be going up one-on-one against an edge rusher. And to be honest, we didn't actually get to see a ton of one-on-one matchups against edge rushers for whatever reason. We'll get more on that later. But we did see him with some one-on-one matchups, and this was one of them. Going up against Randy Gregory, a guy who's a very good edge rusher. So this is not an easy matchup. Sometimes you see preseason and say, okay, you know what? You're going up against some special teamer or a guy who maybe isn't even going to make the NFL. Not that there's no shame in being that, but, there's obviously a jump between that player and, a guy like Randy Gregory. So let's see what Paris Johnson Jr. is going to do on this play. Right off the bat, you see how, Gregory kind of gets his right hand on that left, shoulder pad area of Johnson. But I think Paris Johnson's doing a really good job of getting his right hand extended out and getting it onto the left side of Gregory's body. So if Gregory wants to get to the outside, it's going to be very difficult to get around him. Really, the only way you're going to be able to do it is to knock that, Johnson's right arm out of the way. That's what Gregory has to do right here. For a right tackle, the right hand, that's the most important play, and that's what Johnson has latched on. And so Gregory has to come up with a move right here. What he's going to try and do is Gregory's going to try to get his own right arm over, Paris Johnson's right arm and kind of his whole body, really. That's what he's going to try and do right here. He has his left arm on Johnson's right sort of wrist, and he's going to try to push that away as well, and watch how well that works out. As you see, Johnson then gets his left arm and just pushes Gregory aside to where Gregory could not really make an impact on that play. That's just good stuff, I would say, from Paris Johnson Jr., really kind of taking away Randy Gregory completely out of the play on that one. So that was, I would say, absolutely a very good play. Now, there were some negatives. Like I said, it was an up and down performance. Again, there's two ways you can have kind of an average performance, right? You can do it in the way where just every play you go out and look solid, or you can do it in, a way where you have some really impressive plays and some not so impressive plays. And that was kind of how I felt like Paris Johnson's performance was, where, okay, going up to the next level to block a linebacker. Sure, let's see how this works out. 3rd down and 1. Just got to make the play. Well, right when this play begins, he gets up, seems to be in pretty good position, but watch what then happens. As you see, he kind of gets a little bit of contact, but not much. The linebacker was able to get around him. Now, didn't matter because someone else was able to shoot through and make the tackle immediately, so never even got there. But even if that didn't happen, I'm not sure if they get the 1st down because of that. And again, it's a little bit more difficult to see with the broadcast angle. We don't have all 22 footage, unfortunately, or at least I don't. I feel like I see some people somehow get preseason all 22. I don't know how they do that, but it looks like maybe he couldn't quite get clean off because there's linemen right next to him, and that might have been what happened. I can't tell for sure. It looks to me like he just wasn't able to get a good grip and really push off the linebacker the way that you would hope to see him do. That's what it looks like to me, but I could be wrong, so I want to throw that asterisk in there. But then what about something like this? What if you get yourself in a bit of a bad situation? How do you handle that? That's always something I look for in, offensive linemen in general, but especially young offensive linemen. It's not necessarily never getting yourself out of position. Yes, that's obviously good if you don't get yourself out of position. That's something you like to see, but it's not the only way, that you can be successful. Jonathan Cooper is the pass rusher that you're going to see Paris Johnson Jr. go up against, and watch what he's going to do. Watch how right when this play begins, there was a chip there, right? As I said, a lot of chips, a lot of help, and because of that, you're going to see that the edge rusher on this play, Jonathan Cooper, he's going farther towards the outside, and this appears to be in a bit of a peculiar position. For Johnson, he's not really going to be able to stop Cooper in his tracks, right? You're going to have to use the momentum to your benefit, and really, the ideal strategy at this point is to try and get your left arm kind of on the right side of Cooper and push him behind your quarterback. That's what Paris Johnson should do here. So we're going to check 2 things. 1, does he do that? And 2, if he does he have the strength to get Cooper behind his quarterback? And the answer to that is going to be yes to both. So, hey, got himself a little bit out of position, which I don't really think was his fault. I think it was just kind of a good move after the chip. And he's able to fully, be comfortable in that situation and not have to worry about it. So, to me, that's definitely a very good thing, that even if you can make a little bit of a move at the line to fool him a little bit, it might not be the worst thing in the world, which, to me is much better than if someone's just never getting themselves out of potential bad situations. That's kind of what I like to see. Someone who can get themselves out of a bad situation. Obviously, it's perfect if you can never get in bad situations, but that's just not realistic. Unless you're Trent Williams, that's not going to happen. Although heading over here, this is definitely another important play to discuss. So it's again going to be a one-on-one matchup, and it's our good friend Randy Gregory going up against Johnson, and watch what's going to happen. Right when this play begins, again, Johnson, I do think Johnson's making a clear effort to not get beat around the edge, which is typically, how you get beat, right? On the outside as a tackle. He's a right tackle. He's focusing on that right hand, and, guys in the NFL are so smart. They pick up on this stuff really quickly. I mean, this is only 10 minutes into the game, but Randy Gregory, if he notices that, he's going to say, okay, well, let's see if I can, just kind of put my hands into your chest and overpower you kind of more towards Gregory's right, more towards the top of the screen. And as you see, he pulls it off. The ball got out in a hurry and was intercepted, so I guess one of those scenarios where as a pass rusher you say, hey, maybe it's a good thing I didn't get there in time. Although in the preseason you probably would like to have the stats more than the interception, maybe. I don't know how much of a team player Gregory is in the preseason, but my point is that, he did get overpowered a little bit. Johnson did. It happens. Randy Gregory's a good pass rusher, and these are just the kind of little things you're going to have to learn as a young offensive lineman, is just kind of how to have a complete repertoire and how to beat every single move. So what does this all mean? Where do we go from here with Paris Johnson Jr.? What do we take away from this? I don't think there's actually a ton of takeaways. There were some things he has to work on. At the end of the day, he did at times, basically the biggest criticism I have of him is at times he looked like a rookie. He is a rookie. We expect that from him. As a whole, he is I think someone who will be an effective tackle for them, and I do think showed that he can, at times, hang with some really good pass rushers, which is certainly good to see. The reality is, I think about Evan Neal, for example, another guy who was drafted around the same spot, who was very hyped up coming out of college, and people, when he came into the preseason, people were ready to see him start just mowing guys over, and instead, he looked rough, and he showed some errors, and you kind of saw right away, okay, this might be more of a learning experience than we thought. Paris Johnson didn't have that. Paris Johnson went in and looked like an NFL-ready player, which that alone is very good. Again, I'm not sure how much the Cardinals are ready to compete this year, but you always want a good player to watch if you're a Cardinals fan, right? And so having a guy who looks like he could do the job right away is obviously very good. Now, does it happen where guys have good preseasons and then get into the regular season and struggle? Sure, of course. But it's less common with offensive linemen than it is with a quarterback, for example, because usually level of competition, you're still playing against good players if you're getting first team reps. So it's a little bit different there, although it still does happen. Really the biggest issue is just sample size with preseason with offensive linemen. We got to get a bigger sample size on Paris Johnson before we can say too much, but so far I think that there's I would say it's a good first sign for Paris Johnson Jr. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What were your thoughts on his performance? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.